Yo, Big C in the house. You know the name. Finn Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Moving the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squad's the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Finn Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Finn Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test.
What up, Finn fans? Welcome to another episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. Sorry that the show was so late today. I just got back from the doctor, literally just walked in the door, made myself a cup of coffee, and here I am. I do apologize. Man, oh man, Victory Monday. How sweet it is. Victory Monday. We needed this. We need this as a fan base just to remind us why we're Dolphin fans. Now you can debate whether this win hurts the team or, you feel this is the beginning of a turnaround. Listen, this Miami Dolphins team is going to have to show me a lot more than one game worth of very, very impressive play. I will say that, but they're going to have to show me a lot more than that for me to have any type of hopium for this football team. Now, again, we didn't overly hurt ourselves in that race for the number one draft pick if everything goes back to the way it was the first beginning of the season. The Jets won yesterday, so I think we're sitting 5th or 6th. We were 2nd, but we still got to play the Jets. We still got to play the Saints. So if you're one of the fans that is strictly looking forward to next year, looking forward to having one of the top picks in the draft so we can go out there and get a quarterback, there's still hope for you. If you're one of the fans that, you've seen enough just in yesterday's game that you're a believer that we can turn this around, good for you. I need more than what yesterday was, but yesterday was impressive. I will say that. Yesterday was absolutely, it was unexpected to me. I lost most of my bets yesterday because I had the Dolphins losing. I'm cool with it because it means a Dolphin win, but wow. This team did not look like the team that we've seen for the first 7 weeks of the season. This team looked completely different. Completely different. All three phases of this football team looked phenomenal. Tua was fantastic. The O-line was good. The defense was swarming. The defensive line was impressive. The special teams, the punting was good. Like, there wasn't this might have been, and I'm pretty sure it was. You can say the Broncos game, but I think this is the most well-rounded victory of the Mike McDaniel era. Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say that this is the most well-rounded victory of the Mike McDaniel era? This team looked like a completely different team. This is the team that I envisioned at the beginning of the season. This is the team that, this is the team that I thought we could be. Yesterday morning started off horrible with the news that, Tua Tagovailoa was added to the injury report. He had some kind of eye issue, woke up with his eyes swollen and puffy. Either he had a sty, maybe someone farted on his pillow, gave him a little pink eye for them comments he made. You never know. But yeah, yesterday started out with horrible news that there was a chance that Tua may not play. And again, I'm not Zach Wilson. Give me a break. Quinn Ewers, I'm not ready to write the kid off yet, but I don't think he's the answer at quarterback for the future of the Miami Dolphins. But bro, even at the beginning of this game, we decide to kick the ball off. We decide to get the ball first, which typically teams have. It's become a custom for teams to defer. We take the opening kickoff. First drive, we look horrible. I'm like, here we go. But after that, we were off and running. This team looked super impressive. Atlanta was the second-ranked defense in the NFL, folks. Top defense against the pass. And our weak-armed, half-blind, bottom-of-the-barrel starting quarterback torched them. He torched them. Tua Tagovailoa had a classic Tua game. Very accurate, very efficient. Now, there was no huge plays down the field. Jalen Waddle had a long touchdown catch, but it was mostly on the ground. But very efficient Tua Tagovailoa yesterday. Very efficient. Tua Tagovailoa, 20 for 26, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 138 rating. Beautiful game. Beautiful game. Beautiful game. Let's pull up the details of the game real quick, just to get it out the way. Dolphins 34-10. Miami came out with a 7-0 lead. It was leading 17-3 by half. Came out in the third quarter, got a touchdown. At one point, it looked like the Falcons may get back into this football game. Then Bijan Robinson fumbled the football. We were able to recover. We took advantage of every opportunity yesterday. Like I said, most well-rounded Mike McDaniel victory in my eyes. Beat the Atlanta Falcons 34-10. Like I just said, Tua Tagovailoa, 20 of 26, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns. Zach Wilson even came in at the end of the game. Only one pass attempt, no yards, no tag. Devon Achane, another solid game. 18 for 67 on the ground, not the greatest average, but he added 5 catches for 24 yards, 91 yards total, and a touchdown. Mike McDaniel actually got Ollie Gordon involved in the run game this week. He did. he ran Ali Gordon the way he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be ran. Give him the ball and get out of the way. Ali Gordon 10 carries, 46 yards. And Jalen Wright even got some burn. 9 carries, 28 yards. We ran the ball 37 times overall. 37 times for a Mike McDaniel ran offense. Did you ever think you'd see the day that we ran the ball 37 times? Great job. Great job. Jalen Waddle, 5 catches, 99 yards, and the long touchdown reception. Malik Washington, 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Man, did Tua thread the needle on that one? What an impressive play by Tua Tagovailoa. Great accuracy to sneak that football into Malik Washington, where there was very little room for him to make a play, and he was able to get it in there for a touchdown. Achane with a receiving touchdown. Ali Gordon with a receiving touchdown. Just an overall great performance all the way around. I can't say enough. Jonah Savaiinaya, great game. He only allowed 1 hurry. He had 3 huge blocks on 3 key plays in this football game. Very, very glad to see Jonah do something positive. Let's take a look at this Atlanta Falcons team. Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins is washed. 21 of 31, 173 yards. Bijan Robinson, 9 carries, 25 yards, 2.8 yards a carry. Bijan Robinson, we held him to his 4th lowest rushing rate of his career with just 25 yards. This guy leads the league in all-purpose yards with 150. We held him over 50 total yards in this game. Great job by this defense. Jordan Brooks was flying all over the field, stuffing the run, came away with a sack. Great job. Jalen Phillips had a very, very good game in this one. The thing with Jalen Phillips, he's got one of the highest pressure rates in the league, but he just can't finish the plays off. And I don't know what the problem is. Overall stats. We had 338 total yards. They had 213. We had 197 passing yards, 168 for the Falcons, 141 rushing. I thought Bijan Robinson was going to have that on his own. Legit. I thought Bijan Robinson was going to have that by himself. Held the Atlanta Falcons to 45 yards rushing. Yards per play, we were at 5.2. Falcons at 4.3. We had 24 first downs to their 11. Third down efficiency, 6 for 13. They were 2 for 11. Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 2. They were 2 for 4. We even ran the ball efficiently on short yardage. Instead of throwing the ball like we typically do, we even ran the ball on 4th and short. It paid off for us. We were able to convert, keep that drive going. We had 65 total plays to their 49. Each of us allowed 1 sack. We had 3 punts. They had 4. We had 4 penalties for 54 yards. They had 8 for 76. They lost a fumble. We had no turnovers. Great job by this Miami Dolphins team as a whole. I cannot say enough. If this team played like this on a weekly basis, we'd probably be sitting at, what are we 2-6? We'd be sitting at 7-1. If we played like this on a weekly basis, we'd be 7-1. Without question. Because most of the games we were in, besides week 1, and I mean last week against Cleveland, but that wouldn't have happened to us if we played like this last week. CCRR, I mean, let's not do that. Like, Tua Tagovailoa had a great game. If you want to call him out when he's bad, that's fine. But when he's good, why the hate? Do you think yesterday was just good luck? I mean, I think they performed at the level that they're capable of. I think this team is capable of performing at that level on a weekly basis. What a great job by Mike. This might have been Mike McDaniel's best coaching job. This might have been Mike McDaniel's best coaching job. He did a hell of a job calling plays. We didn't get stuck with a bunch of screen plays this game. They ran the sixth out. We ran Brunskill out there. He was used as a sixth offensive lineman in replace of tight end Julian Hill because Julian Hill's out. That seemed to do us justice. It seemed to make us be able to run the ball more efficiently. I mean, not really, but the sixth offensive lineman, I think, helped. But what an I'm just super impressed by this football team yesterday. And it saddens me that know that we can play at such a high level, yet we haven't. Yeah, we haven't. Anthony says this is classic Dolphins. They're gonna win more games that they're not supposed to and screw us out of a top 10 pick, and we'll be in that purgatory 11 through 19 and 26. CC, listen, this is the NFL, and it doesn't a bad team. Kirk Cousins is a $40 million quarterback, first off. Is he washed? Yeah. But they got a top rated, they got one of the best running backs in the NFL. They got one of the best defenses in the NFL. And Joe, I'm not saying that we shouldn't lose out. You know, this team's not going anywhere in my estimation. Now, is it absolutely possible that the Miami Dolphins go on some kind of super run and make it to the playoffs? Sure. Sure, it could happen. Do I expect it to happen? No. We have the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. Lamar Jackson's probably going to be back. I don't think we win that football game. Then, of course, we have the Buffalo Bills, and then we have the Washington Commanders. Chances are that's 3 more losses. Now, I think we can win each and every one of those games. We could. If we come out and perform like that, maybe this did something for this football team. But I'm highly impressed that this team has not given up yet, even though the bad start, all the negative attention by Tua Tagovailoa and his comments. Super impressed that this team still had the integrity and the fight in them to come out and put this type of performance together. Again, if this team played like this every week, we'd be a good football. We'd be a playoff team. The aircraft carrier says, I expect to win every game as a fan. You know, and I want to win every game as a fan. I do. And sometimes it's detrimental to the team. I understand in my heart that winning these football games may not be what's best for the future of the Miami Dolphins. But as a fan, I can't help but to want them to win or to cheer for them to win or to get excited when they score on Sundays. It's a fine line. It's really tough. CC, how won't you beat a good team playing like that? We had a suffocating defense. We were efficient on offense. We were able to run the ball and efficiently get the ball into our playmakers' hands. How are you not going to win football games like that? You bottled up the run. That just doesn't make, you know what I mean? Now, I don't think Atlanta's a great team by any means, but to act like Atlanta's a bottom feeder. Didn't Atlanta just beat Buffalo? Yeah, make sure you hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Um, Comment, share, turn on notifications. This defense controlled the line of scrimmage yesterday. We did a great job. They did a great job. Even seeing Kenneth Grant up in there hitting the quarterback. Tua did play with one eye just like a pirate. Just like a pirate. Again, right? Daniel's right. It was a good day for Dolphin football, no matter how you want to look at it. Of course, you're going to have the naysayers that, oh, well, we want to beat this team or we want to beat that team. I'm just happy I'm happy for the win. I'm happy that it didn't do too much damage for our opportunity to still get a top pick if the season goes the way it's been going. Aircraft says it's a week to week league. Anybody can win, and that's true. And that's true. Again, this team is, if Tua's healthy and Tua can perform like that, we're able to run the football consistently. Mike McDaniel, like I said, Mike McDaniel, give him his flowers. We didn't see a bunch of screens, bubble screens, right? We were actually moving the football. If you weren't impressed by that Tua touchdown pass to Malik Washington, like, come on, that was a great play, bro. That was a great play. You're right, Joe. Atlanta could have had a bad game, but I felt like we had a good game. I felt like we had a good game. 4 wins is best case scenario for those hoping we win. CC, I can't argue that. I can't argue that. This team has shown me so far that we are not a good football team. This team's going to have to we're going to have to perform like this the next 2 weeks for me to get back on any type of hope train. We're going to have to beat the Baltimore Ravens and beat the Buffalo Bills for me to think that this team has any legit shot. Now, to me, I think the AFC I think the AFC, there's a chance for people to be able to sneak in there. Some weeks these teams look phenomenal. Other weeks they don't look great. Kansas City started the season off looking like absolute trash, like they may miss the playoffs. The last few weeks they look like the same old Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills have issues on their defense. Pittsburgh has issues. I'm still not sold on the Denver Broncos, even though they beat up on the Cowboys yesterday. But the Cowboys have one of the worst defenses in all of football. I think we see a more efficient Tua if we're able to run the ball efficiently. But how often are we able to run the football and do it efficiently? Minus the big runs. I mean, you can go through and there's some games where there was some huge runs and it inflates the rushing stat. But how many games besides in 2023 did we have good rushing performances? You know what I mean? And everybody will say we gave Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle and these skill players. But in reality, Tua can do fine with average skill players if he had a good running game and protection in the pocket. I think you might be able to get in the playoffs if you win 9 games, to be honest. Again, I I want fans to hold their expectations back. Don't get too high on this win. Don't get in your feelings and think we're going on some kind of run. Enjoy yesterday. Yesterday was good. Yesterday was promising. If anything, the fact that Jonah showed up and showed that he can play good football, that's very promising. He needs an offensive line more than he needs an elite wide receiver. Bottom line, Anthony, if we can run the football and he has decent wide receivers, that does him way more justice than having an elite wide receiver. If you don't have time to, teams can shut down on an elite wide receiver. If you got a good offensive line, you can run the ball. It's very difficult for teams to shut that down. And if they can shut that elite rushing down, it usually opens up the passing game. And again, there still needs to be massive changes. Don't let this mask the problems that we have here. Don't let it mask the things that have gone wrong and the issues that we have as a football team. Because we still are very highly an incompetent football team based on the way that we're built. I mean, I don't know. I thought Lamar was going to play this week. It is a short week. They might give him another week just because, Snoop played good yesterday. They might think might be able to beat us without Lamar playing. I don't know if he's going to play. Well, Elwood, you would think that our offensive line's got to get healthy at some point. When's Austin Jackson coming back? When's James Daniels coming back? If Mike McDaniel continues to use a sixth offensive lineman along with those two guys on the offensive line, we should be able to run the ball really efficiently with Ali Gordon, Devon Achane. Again, yesterday was a great win. Enjoy it. We needed it as fans. This team is not as bad as our record suggests. We're just not as good as we'd like to be. You know what I mean? We're just not as good as we'd like to be, but we're not as bad as our record suggests. And it does bother me that we lost so many games that we should have won. Adam Schefter says Lamar's definitely playing Thursday. Well, that's bad news for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I think you're more likely to see the Miami we see in the first few weeks than the team we seen yesterday. Let's take a look at the locker room after the game yesterday. These guys were pumped. It shows that they have not given up.
Did you guys?
Oh, cool.
Earn it. So let's go get this. Take this win 2 and make it win 3 real fast. How about that? Guess what? On the Oprah game balls, everybody's getting.
We gotta even go fucking
come in bunches, man. Let's come back to work. Let's get this damn win. It feel good. Let's get it on Thursday. Let's keep rolling, baby. Yeah. Let's go, y'all. Bring it in tight. Bring it in tight. Loud and proud, man. Make this the best one yet. Hey, Dolphins on three. Dolphins on three. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, them guys were definitely pumped yesterday. After that win, it shows me that they're still trying. They're still fighting. Aircraft says, yeah, my coach is really a tech guy. Yeah, my quarterback is soft as Kai, and I still love my Fins. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. And I'd love to see changes be made to this football team. I'd love to see us have a Josh Allen type quarterback. I'd love to see us have a Patrick Mahomes type quarterback. These quarterbacks don't fall off trees, though. We have 3 or 4 elite quarterbacks in this league. So they're not easy to find. That's why it's important that these general managers that you hired can build competent teams around these very good to average quarterbacks. I don't believe for a second that Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback, especially throwing the football. He's not an elite quarterback. But the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman are so good at building football teams. They're so good. They put so much talent around Jalen Hurts. They can cover up his indeficiencies as a quarterback, and it makes him look elite at times. He has great wide receivers to throw to. He has a great tight end to throw to. He has one of the best running backs in football. He has one of the best offensive lines in football, and he has a top-rated defense. If you can't win in Philadelphia, I don't know where you can win at. So, I mean, you can get a quarterback that's maybe not a Josh Allen, not a Pat Mahomes, not a Lamar Jackson, because, again, those quarterbacks are not easily found. And people got to stop comparing every quarterback to those guys because it's not fair. It's not fair. These guys are all-time great talents. They're all-time great players. These are once in a decade type players, three times in a decade type players. They're not, you're only going to get so many of them. So chances are, even if we have a high draft pick, we might be able to get a very good quarterback. But the chances are we're not going to get a Pat Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson. There's a higher chance that we get a Baker Mayfield, a quarterback of that nature. And you're going to have to be able to build a good team around them in order to win a Super Bowl. You can't. Tua's not an elite quarterback, right? And everybody knows it. I think you should expect Tua to perform at a Baker Mayfield, a level of, but you can't expect him to go out there and perform like one of the all-time greats. You can't expect him to be able to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. It's not realistic. That's real life. He can't do what half Josh does. 95% of the league can't do half of what Josh Allen does. Let's be real. No, I don't think he should be out there going and saying that, but everybody knows it. It's not a big mystery. I don't see it neither, aircraft carrier, because we don't have anybody around here that can build this football team. Not to mention, Tua still has not consistently been able to stay healthy. And then this year, I felt like there was a regression in his play. And I'm not discounting that, CC. I'm not discounting that if you're settling for someone like Tua Tagovailoa, especially if you're incapable of building the correct team around him. Again, I mean, Tua's our quarterback at the current moment, so you try to think of positive ways. Either you move on from him, or you find a solution to be able to compete with him. You got to do one or the other. Tua has lacked consistency, but again, if you want to say that Tua's not that great of a quarterback, which I agree, Tua's not an elite quarterback. I don't even know at this point if I can't even say Tua's a very good quarterback at this point. But I got to admit, and I cannot ignore that this front office has failed him as far as building a good football team around Tua. Tua played great yesterday. He played like a very good quarterback, like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He can't consistently do that though. And maybe the reason he can't consistently do it, maybe it's just not inside him. But maybe he can't because we don't run the ball consistently. Maybe he don't do that because we can't pass block consistently. Again, I hate that every argument turns into a Tua debate. Everything about Tua. If you're obviously the consensus is at this point that we need to move on from Tua. What good does it do to keep saying it over and over and over? I don't care what quarterback you bring in. You're not going to be successful if you can't build the rest of the football team. Bonnie, he's not a Ravens fan. I think he's just changing the logo every week to match our opponent's logo. And Joe, just for your information, I did have a very good conversation with Michael K this past weekend. Again, Michael K is not a bad guy. Michael K is not a bad guy. He's just a troll that is a nuisance to my life on here and makes this very not fun for me. But we had a great conversation this weekend. I don't have a problem with Michael K as a person. Me and him, like I said, we had a good conversation this weekend. It is what it is, CC. I'm just a Dolphins fan that is looking for solutions, not to sit there and cry about the same thing. And aircraft, people don't realize that we've seen worse than Tua. We have. Again, you do got to. We played phenomenal yesterday. Why can't we focus in on the positives? We got plenty of time for the negatives. We got plenty of time for the negative stuff. Why can't we bask in the glory of a hard-fought victory for 1 week when our team actually looked competent for a week? We got a lot of bad weeks this season. I'm sure we got more coming up. This is Victory Monday, though. If we don't draft a quarterback round 1 in 26, what do you see us needing most? I'd say more offensive line help for sure. Maybe a corner, but I wanna get that offensive line into just an absolute juggernaut. I want the 1990s Dallas Cowboys line. You know what I mean? I want that offensive line to be. Who's handing out participation trophies? There's a lot of teams that don't win Super Bowls, CC. It's not as easy as you think. I'd be off Jackson. You're not off Jackson at this point. I think he's at best a mediocre player that can't stay healthy. Well, I wouldn't say there's any top flight quarterback available free agent wise because those type of players don't typically become available. Like people didn't think that Baker Mayfield was going to have a career. He made some after himself after his Cleveland days. I mean, he went to the Rams. He played a decent game over there on Monday Night Football, I think it was, and then ended up signing with Tampa Bay. As far as quarterbacks in college football, you got Mendoza, you got Sellers. Again, there's a whole lot of football to be played before the draft happens. That's not necessarily true, CC. There's a lot of aspects to football teams and winning football games than just having the best players. The team with the best players doesn't win the Super Bowl every year. That's not necessarily the case. Who knows what Joe? Who knows if Chris Greer is off Austin Jackson? But I'm off Chris Greer, so I think any competent general manager will come in and be like, "Hey, the guy's not available, and when he is available, he's not great. He's not worth keeping." Again, CC, there's half the league, the quarterbacks, over half the league can't do the things that Josh Allen does. I mean, not for nothing, but how many everybody clamoring for the quarterback that was drafted after us? What has he won? What has he won? What is the great Justin Herbert won? Nothing. 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 What is the great Josh Allen won? Nothing. Joe Burrow, nothing. Lamar Jackson, nothing. It's not guaranteed the Jets got the number one pick. Like I said, there's a lot of time between now and the draft. If you bring in a good quarterback behind this offensive line with our porous defense, how our defense played the first 7 weeks this season, none of them quarterbacks are winning here. Now, would we have a better record if Patrick Mahomes was our quarterback? Sure. Because I think we would have pulled off a couple of those wins, but we still wouldn't have been competitors for a Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins was horrible last year, bro. Or yesterday. Kirk Cousins was absolutely horrible yesterday. I don't think Tua's going anywhere this year. I think people better get used to Tua being in that quarterback room because I don't think he's going anywhere. financially, it's too much of a hardship to try to move on from. I mean, Daniel, a rookie quarterback can help transform a team. Look at what Daniels did over in Washington. You know what I mean? It can happen, but the rest of the team's going to have to be pretty good. CC, the logic is that we don't have a competent front office to build a winning franchise regardless of who the quarterback is. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, will we win more than 2 out of 8 games? Sure. We'd probably have 4 wins, maybe even 5. But we'd drop these next 3 games because those teams are better than us, and we still miss the playoffs or get eliminated in the first round. Greg, I don't think it's a must that we draft a quarterback in 2026. Tua's going to be here. Again, Tua is probably going to be here. I think you look at your football team, and if the best player on the board is an offensive lineman and you think that he can be an offensive lineman, a dominant offensive lineman on your team for the next 12 years, that's who you take. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that more changes need to be made than just quarterback. I don't know how else I can say it for you to understand. Everybody wants to just put it where we're in the position we're in because of Tua. That's not the case. We're in the position we're in because of a Chris Greer. Again, Chris Greer is the one that drafted Tua. He's the one that doesn't give us a good offensive line. Well, I think you are the one that doesn't understand, CC. But what a great win yesterday for us. We do have a short week. We got the Baltimore Ravens. If Lamar Jackson is back, this team has a terrible record. They beat up on the Bears yesterday. The Ravens team is not as bad as what the record says. They've just had a long list of injuries to key players. They have 4 or 5 players that were all pro players on their injury report. So, I mean, if these guys come back healthy, this team's still going to make a run. I still think that these guys can make it to the playoffs. Their defense has struggled. They got to get it together. The trade deadline is rapidly approaching. Are the Miami Dolphins going to trade away Chubb? Are they going to trade away Phillips? Matthew Judon? Jalen Waddle? We shall see. Again, I don't know how Chris Greer goes and trades these players if he knows that winning is the only way that he can keep his job. But who knows? Who knows? Brewer works for our Mike McDaniel scheme, but if another coach wants to come in and run a power running scheme, Brewer doesn't fit the bill. He's not big or strong enough. Glenn says they're not going to trade anyone. I think that's a mistake. What did you say, Finspin? I don't got you on ignore. Sorry, I try to read the comments. I don't try to ignore anybody. Trying to scroll back up. I don't see though. Yeah, I don't try to ignore anybody. He said draft right tackle and right guard. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like, imagine how much better off. And listen, I'm a Jalen Waddle fan, but imagine how much better off we would be if Penei Sewell was drafted instead of Jalen Waddle. Edward says Chubb is number one to be traded. I'd put Phillips right or Jalen Phillips right up there too because we're not bringing him back next year. I just don't see it unless he's going to give us a crazy discount. Glenn, I think the reason you might want to try to trade him now is that you're going to get more value in the middle of the season because teams are desperate to make that move to get themselves in a position to be legit Super Bowl contenders. You know what I mean? Phillips has played really good this year. He's just not been able to finish. Just not been able to finish. I think I read somewhere that 60% of the snaps he's gotten pressure on, he's just not able to come up with the sack. And I don't know what it is. I mean, the bad thing about not taking a quarterback next year, let's say we go with Tua and let's say we go our number one pick, a tackle or a guard, and they come in and they start right away and they perform at a high level. And you got Patrick Paul, and let's say Jonah starts playing like a top pick, and we still got Daniels. We'd have a top offensive line, right? You got a very good running back in Devon Achane. We know that Tua is capable of winning football games in this league. Whether you think he's good enough to beat good teams or he can't win the cold weather, we've seen Tua at the very least beat the bad teams in the league. Yeah, he hasn't done it this year, but we've seen him beat those games. We've seen him win 8-9 games. That puts us in a position where we're not going to have a chance at a top quarterback prospect in 2027. I mean, I wouldn't be against Phillips. I do think that he hasn't lived up to his draft position. Never had a year with 10 sacks. Plus his injury history. Well, that's true, Glenn, but running the football is a huge part of what Tua does. That's a huge part of Mike McDaniel's offense is the play action pass. What's up, Dean? But yeah, I'm curious to see if the same team can show up again next week. I'm not expecting it. I wouldn't go and bet the farm on it. But does this team have the ability to come and beat the Ravens? They do. If they can play like they did against the Falcons, they absolutely have a shot at beating the Ravens. Ollie Gordon absolutely he's got an upside. Mike McDaniel's got to use him correctly. Ollie Gordon is the type of player you let run full steam ahead. You know what I mean? Not all these misdirections and playing twinkle toes in the backfield. No, give him the ball and get out the way. Let him go in there and hit the hole. What was our record last year at this time? 2-6, but we don't have a Tyreek Hill. That is a big deal. You can't You can't ignore that fact, brother. You can't, in fact, ignore the fact how valuable Tyreek Hill is. You can't ignore the fact that we don't have a Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, that we don't have a Calais Campbell up front. Like, we can't ignore the deficiencies of this football team. I agree, Dean. Bring in that 6 offensive lineman all the time. I thought that was a great call by Mike McDaniel. I was surprised that he used all 3 backs, Bonnie. Very surprised. I was surprised that Jalen Wright got a carry, let alone 9 carries. He devied it up pretty good. Big C, what is our identity as a team? I think this identity should be a team that can run the football and beat you with the play action pass. Right now, the identity of this football team is a team that looks to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and shoot, that's why there's so many bubble screens. They're just trying to get it in the hands of these guys, but teams know what's going on. Teams are prepared for it. Wait until we find out Brunskill can catch. That'll be an automatic crucial play when they pop that end of the box, laugh out loud. Yeah, don't put it past Brunskill to have a receiving touchdown this year. Mediocrity is what makes me crazy with the Dolphins. I agree. Those picks from 11 to 15, 16, it seems like we're always stuck right there and missing out on the top tier talent of the draft. Always seems like we miss out on the top tier talent on the draft. But when we do have a top pick, we mess it up. All right, folks, we'll be breaking down the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow. Tonight be me, Mike Jones, on Game Changers, probably around 8 o'clock. Overreaction Monday, talking about yesterday's games. I did win $443 on FanDuel yesterday, betting on Aaron Rodgers having over 150 yards passing, or over 200 yards passing. Jordan Love having over 150 yards passing. I took Pittsburgh with 10.5 points. And the running back, what's their running back's name? With him getting a touchdown. Jesus, why can't I think of his name? What's the running back for the Packers name? Yeah, I had I won $443 on those 4 last night. But make sure you hit that like button. Enjoy Victory Monday. Jacobs, there you go. Thank you, Blake. You took a loss yesterday, Blake. Ha ha, yeah. You took a L yesterday, baby. Woo. Fantasy football. It's getting heated. Glenn said, I won big yesterday. Took Bills, Pats, Dolphins, Jets, and Baltimore to win straight up. Yeah, I'm sure you did win pretty good with that. Lost Scat, too. Yeah. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification. Again, me and Mike Jones will be on the Game Changers tonight. And I'll be back tomorrow morning to break down the Baltimore Ravens. And if we really got a shot at beating Lamar and them boys, can we make it 2 in a row? Can we get to 2 in a row? Can the real Tua Tagovailoa please stand up? Should Tua wear an eye patch for the rest of the season? Enjoy your Victory Monday, folks. And until next time, you know what it is. Bins up. Peace.
Yo. Big C in the house. You know the name. Finn Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing, we scorching the floor. Moving the tour, we stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Finn Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Finn Posse, we the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.